asked to do, which was to speak here and give you some insights about what's going on. So I guess I'll start with this. The Bad River area is one of the homes to our Midewiwin Society, our medicine society. That is a way of the heart, and it is one of the homes of our Three Fires Society. And my partner, Siobhan Marks, is a second-degree member of that society, as I am. And we take that work quite seriously, Midewiwin, this way of the heart. And one of the last time I was up there, we were dealing with the police shooting of a tribal member. And I was asked to be there by several folks, both in that band and politicians, and also the American Indian movement. So it was difficult. It was quite difficult to work with young men who were angry for losing one of their friends at the hands of the police. And each of you, I think as I look around here, we're all old enough to have lost someone. And the feelings that engenders. And imagine being such a young person, that of 8th grade, 7th grade, 6th grade, of losing someone. Now transfer those feelings over to the loss of losing someone who is your mom, or your aunt, or your sister, to crimes that are being done against humanity, to crimes that are being done to this earth, because it's all related. So I'm going to relate this for you, and this is how I'm going to do this. As a member of this society, Arawe Benezi Indigenous Cause, my name is, I was named by Eddie Benton Benet. I had already had a traditional name from my youth, but going into the lodge, he renamed me. And Eddie Benton Benet, Badwe Wadeb, but he is a member, founding member of the American Indian movement. So a lot of you may remember that name. And he was our Grand Chief of the Three Fires Society. And in about 2004, he came in front of our medicine lodge. And in language, both in English, he challenged the people that were there, all native. And he said that one day, water would be worth, an ounce of water would be the equivalent of an ounce of gold, and that it was going to be in trouble. And what were we going to do about it? What were we going to do about it? And everybody's looking at each other, kind of like you guys are right now. What's this guy talking about? We're freezing. What's going on? What's the challenge? What am I going to do, right? That's the same place we were. And there's an older lady here, like these young ladies right here, 60s. You guys all in your 20s right here. But she's sitting there and asked, and one of them said, I will do something. I will do something. And her name was Josephine Mandamin. A lot of you guys know her as a water walker. And she didn't know what she was going to do in that moment. Just as maybe you're going to go to this table and sign some papers and be more involved. But she didn't know what she was going to do. She just said she needed to do something. And so what she decided to do was start a movement that went across this country, this United States, that went across Canada, and began a movement of water walkers, of people, of women who would take water from their streams and from the rivers they were cared about, and they would take that in a copper bucket, and they would have an eagle staff, and along with it the instructions were to carry an American flag or Canadian flag, whatever the flag of country you would be from. They would carry this water from an origin point and go around the waterway and encourage the community to begin to be thinking about their water, as we are thinking about this line right now. Imagine it as we do, as I do. as someone who has lost a son to opioids, my son Sawyer, as a son who was lost to heroin and fentanyl. Imagine this. Imagine this, Americans that are here, and why this work is important. My son Sawyer wrote a note, and his note said, "Sorry, Dad. Sorry for the mess." Because we went into his apartment and broke through his door. We found him slumped over on his desk, the computer. 2 years after the completed suicide of his sister. 2 years after the completed suicide of his brother. That kind of sadness that would have him go to a gathering of people where they were all having a good time, and his friends would find him facing a wall, not engaging anybody, and sitting there alone. This is the loneliness of the spirit. This is the place that our Grand Chief would talk about. This is a place where Josephine Mandaman did not want us to go. Right now, we are at the edge, and we have just finished that 7th generation that you often hear about. We are now in the beginning of the 8th, where we have a choice of 2 roads. One road leads to certain destruction, and the other road leads to life itself, where the original instructions of our Creator are laid out for us and for us to follow. In one road is the loneliness of the spirit. The destroyer is there. And the reason why I tell you this isn't to help me mourn or to feel bad for me, but I want you to know that when Starla here, our sister, talks about missing and murdered Indigenous women, our Medicine Lodge has dealt with many of those families and helped them heal and watch mothers and daughters and sons and grandfathers and fathers and brothers weep openly and cry because there are no bodies for the women that are missing. When these oil lines come through, so comes human trafficking, so comes human degradation. And I'll tie it together like this. These oil pipelines are like heroin. Take a needle, put it into your arm, and tell the person across from you, "Oh, don't worry about it. It won't go into a vein. It'll go underneath that vein," as oil pipelines go around and through our rivers and underneath them. That needle will go underneath that vein. That needle will go through that vein and not affect it at all. We're hooked. As heroin addicts are, we're hooked on oil. We're hooked on gas. We're hooked on degrading our world. And we need to think about what it's doing to us. Because those oil pipelines, again, are like putting that needle into your arm and saying, this won't do anything. This pipeline into our mother will do nothing. It's the same thing. These things are all connected. And so I will end with this. The things that I'm wearing have very much to do about my name. Madwewden B'nai Siyaban, Eddie Benton B'nai named me and brought me into his family. That's why this one. These two of a man and a woman standing together are the beginning of the story of losing my son and my daughter, and eventually with my last surviving son. I don't want that to happen to you. And we need to be thinking about it because we've all come from great loss. And this is my last point. The reason I'm holding this bear is we are in those last few moments of carrying our bear bundles for those of us that know of them. And we made them last month. And what we do with those bear bundles when we assemble them is we assemble them with our 7 sacred teachings that were given to us by our Creator. And we think of them. And we think about the things that we can do without. Because the ice begins to break up. The ice breaks up on our rivers. The ice breaks up on our lakes. The sun begins to shine. The warm weather becomes warmer, as it will tomorrow. Right? And so in all of that, our earth becomes restored. And in this moment, we can restore ourselves. And that is what our bear bundles are about. Is to take those things that we can do without, to put them into those bundles. And when the ice breaks and the earth is renewed, we can throw those bear bundles and the things we can do without. We can throw those things away and do without them. Think about the things we can control and think about the things that we cannot. These bear bundles are so very important to us. And so like that woman, Josephine Mendamen, that sat in our lodge, and while everybody else sat on their hands and wondered, what is it that we can do for our water? She answered that question, traversing the Mississippi, the length of it, multiple times, walking around the Great Lakes multiple times, hip replacements, knee replacements, and now a school is named after her. Because she answered the question that I am asking you. What is it that you will do for the water? What can you do? You are not too old. You are not without power. And you are not without thinking outside of the box and doing something significant. And just by being here and listening to this, that is significant. Because for each and every one of you that is here, there are hundreds, if not thousands, that should be here and are not. And we need to think of them. So with that, as a member of our Three Fire Society, we are charged with speaking for the dead and the unborn. And that is what I am doing. Speaking for my kids and the little one that my daughter carried and did not come into this world as a result of her decisions. This is very serious stuff. This is life and death stuff. This isn't just us getting together and seeing each other and having fun. You're fighting for your life. You're fighting coming at that bridge, that place, those paths of those 2 roads. It's serious stuff. Think about it. You can do something. If it's a song, if it's a poem, it's dancing. That's all part of it. Celebrating. Don't have to be serious all the time. You can have fun doing it. So do it. Do it for the communities of Bad River, Medicine River. Do it for this community. Walk these waters. Traverse and stand up for the land of Racine. Remember what my sister Starla here told you. That French explorer that got here, that guy would have never made it if he didn't have a Potawatomi wife. And if you guys doubt me, any of you married guys here, go ahead and fight me and say, where would you be without your wife, right? And if you say, oh, I'd be, well, good luck going home, guys. Okay? So with that, I just wanted to lighten it up a little bit, but it's also true. That wife and that husband, a sacred bond making this place together, the community that you call your community. How awesome is that? Honey, thank you.